Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back. In this quick tip episode, we're talking about something really important. We're talking about how to evaluate a talent's trajectory. I think this is very important. And when we talk about talent's trajectory, I'm talking about the capability. And I'm looking at if we were to draw the roadmap, not on their title, not even necessarily on the function in your business, but what they could accomplish. What is their capability to learn, adapt, and grow? And I bring this actually into a introspective process. I might be saying the word wrong, but I say it in terms of if you look internally and you use this idea of 20 years ago, what was your ability? What was your capability? What was your self-awareness? What were you able to do? What were you able not to do? Now look at today. What are you able to do? What are you capable? All that things. Same questions. Would you have been able to identify the trajectory of yourself in terms of execution, performance, talent, tasks, who you are, all those things? Would you have seen that 20-year trajectory? Because I say, are you surprised by that trajectory? Now, I asked myself this, and I've looked at it. I've said, hey, Brandon, where were you 20 years ago? So 20 years ago, I was 25 years old. At 25 years old, I was working for a company where I was building a collegiate licensing brand and helping sell a product. Plain and simple. I believe that's where I was 25 years ago. If you said, hey, Brandon, 25 years ago, would you have seen the trajectory of being able to speak, put on conferences, motivate people, empower change, help solve business problems, all that? I would have said, yeah, I totally can see that trajectory. What I would not have seen was probably I'll be in healthcare, I'll have a book, all that. There are functional capabilities that I can see, and there are accomplishments that I could not see. I think sometimes we only look at a trajectory from accomplishments, and I'm looking at trajectory from the abilities and capabilities. So when we're looking at talent, I want to see what can this employee do? Where are they at, et cetera. And it's interesting because I have this employee that's been with me many, 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 many years, over 15 years. And I remember the day I hired her. And I remembered that she was overqualified for the role I hired her for. I no doubt saw the capability and the trajectory from the ability to contribute to my organizations. But I don't know that I would have seen necessarily, oh, she's going to play in this specific role and whatnot. But her talent and her ability to learn, grow, and thrive was beyond transparent. I saw it. How did I see it? I saw it through motivational interview. I saw it through past relevancy of actions. I saw it from desired capability. I saw it from action, correction, action, analysis. All different ways to measure potential, progress, etc. So when we're looking at how to do this evaluation, I'm going to give you 10 tips. So our first tip, I want you to assess their growth mindset. I want you to look for candidates who view challenges as an opportunity. I want you to identify that they would be bored if they weren't overcoming barriers, obstacles, etc. So I want you to ask them this question. Tell me a time when you faced a professional setback. How'd you handle it? Tell me a time when your personal accomplishments were not where you wanted them to be. How did you pivot? A growth-oriented candidate will describe proactive steps to improve, signaling they're evolving. They want to evolve. What are the ways that they did it? And I'll say it this way. Imagine this. You interview this candidate, and at the end of the interview, you ask them this question. Are you ready? Hey, Brandon, I really enjoyed your time with me today interviewing. I have a favor to ask you. Are you open to giving me a favor? And Brandon says, sure, whatever you want, I'm here. And, they're looking ready to sell you. And I say, I want you to assess how I did in interviewing you. What are questions that you feel I should have asked to better assess your capability within our organization? Now answer them. That's a growth mindset. That's a capability. Their ability to extract what questions you should have asked them to highlight their capability is such a self-awareness opportunity that you will see so much in their adaptability, as well as their ability to pivot, their creativity, and their growth mindset. Number 2, evaluate the alignment with your mission. I want you to gauge whether the candidate's values align with your practice's purpose. Client-centered care, outcome-oriented. What drew you to our practice? So I like to say it in this way. I'm like, you have plenty of opportunities, plenty of practices. Why us? Why this one? What was 5 things that differentiated our role from other roles? Now, if they start to highlight, well, you pay a lot, it seemed like flexibility, all that, they missed it. Let them identify what drew them in. Don't ask them what their mission, vision, and whatnot. They don't even know that. The question is to see what are the characteristics that they're identifying that brought them into your organization. And so sometimes what I also say is I'm like, tell me what aligned with your prefrontal cortex, what put you into a fight or flight. Every single job description has both. How did it resonate with you? Then I want you, number 3, is to test for adaptability. Private practices evolve, new tools, services, clients need, they emerge. And so I want you to ask them, what is the largest change that they have been responsible for in their life? How long did it take? How did they evolve? And what occurred? And I say it this way, this also will unlock transparency. So if you asked me, what is the most, and this doesn't have to be professional, it's even personal. Every champion knows when to pull into a pit stop. January 28th through the 31st, 2026 in Coral Gables, Florida, the Growth Code Conference is your chance to refuel, re-engineer, and race ahead. Fix bottlenecks, optimize performance, and leave ready to claim your spot on the podium. Secure your seat now at growthcodeconference.com. What's the largest change that you've ever had to embrace in your life? How did you have to adapt? What's a major change in your life? I would have said when I was a child and my parents got divorced and I had to look at my parents in a totally different way. It required a change of life function, acceptance, adaptability that I have not faced in any other way in this life. No business change, no nothing. And that component of What are the ingredients that required you to adapt? What helped you prepare for that adaptability? Do you see it as a strength or a weakness? Would you do it any other way? Like, all these things are really critical. And did you go to be cause over the change, or were you the effect? Did you victimize yourself? Very important. They may not open up the way that I'm opening up, but I think that's important to see. What do they do? How do they answer that? The next thing, when we're looking at the trajectory, I want you to check client-centric focus. So a candidate's trajectory depends on their ability to build trust with clients. Plain and simple, whether you're scheduling, whether you're billing, whether you're treating a client, you got to have that client-centric focus. So use role play and scenarios. A client feels you made a mistake. A client feels they were lied to. A client feels that you should do. How do you assess empathy, communication, accountability? Those who prioritize client rapport with accountability are going to drive that retention and referrals. Now, again, I come back to, ideally, we are on our side attracting clients that are already a fit. So I'm not talking about the client that is not a fit, the client that doesn't want to pay their bills or whatnot. That's not where we're going here. We're talking about a client that says, hey, I don't feel that I'm progressing under your care at this point. I feel we've reached a plateau, and I am questioning if you're the right practitioner for me. How that practitioner handles that conversation. I really value your progress. I've been focused in the following progress areas, but if they're no longer as meaningful, we should reassess. If at any point I'm not a right fit for you, I do want to make sure that we guide you in the right way. I never want to put you in a place where you feel you're adapting in a way that you're not comfortable to our goals, milestones for you. So part of my role is helping you reach the milestones that you came here for. So setting that setup with your candidates is really important to see how they would respond. I am a huge believer. Number 5 is important for me, which is you got to probe for long-term commitment. So we are in the business of trying to change the world one patient at a time. You have to understand what their career trajectory, where do you see yourself? So what would drive you to leave? What would drive you to stay? What do I need to do right now to keep you here for 10 years? What would you like to accomplish a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What are the unknowns in your career trajectory? Are you looking to leave, move, whatever? Like, again, like within reason, HR compliant, we need to figure out what that looks like. Number 6 is we need to look for initiative and ownership. Candidates who take responsibility for their work are likely to contribute proactively. I want you to ask them something like, describe a time when you went against the mold to make things happen. When you had to make a decision in your hand in order for the greatest good for your organization. We're going to be able to show how they take initiative. Have they ever gone against a policy in a way that better benefited the organization's overall? What was it? And sometimes they're wrong in their thinking, but looking at that is really important. Number 7 is I want you to assess the cultural fit. I want a candidate's mindset should mesh with your team dynamics. Are they collaborative? Are they independent? Are they, what kind of work environment helps them thrive? 8 is really, really crucial too. I want you to evaluate their learning agility. Since you'll train for function, prioritize candidates who learn quickly. Give them an example, have them master it in front of you. Role play. Hey, I want you to write a letter, and then I want you to give them direction on how to change that letter and see if they can take that direction. 9, gauge contribution to growth. I want you to consider how the candidate can support your practice's goals, like expanding services. What skills or ideas would you have to grow our practice? What are things that you would be responsible for to not just change the way that we deliver care, but to expand our reach, our revenue, and our potential? Are you afraid to discuss revenue? Because do you recognize that revenue is a direct correlation to the affordability of what we pay our staff? 10. As we end this 10 quick tip on evaluating your candidate's trajectory within your organization, I want you to recognize we need to observe emotional resilience. Now, I'm all about making accommodations and handling and hiring all that stuff, but we know that private practice can be demanding. Client challenges, admin tasks, growth spurts require resilience. Why put an employee into fight or flight? Asking them, what are situations where they feel confident? What are situations where they feel less confident? When put in a fight or flight condition, what is the best way to support them? So interesting, and I'll say this real quick, is one of the kids on my son's baseball team, he's so bought in to winning that when a mistake happens, he loses it. And every time the coach or the umpire or whatever tries to coach him on, hey, you got to show sportsmanship and all this stuff. And I remember the mom was telling me, she's like, you just got to leave him, let him process, stay away, and he'll regain a place of being able to get that constructive feedback. But when he's on fire, leave him alone. That's important, even with emotional resilience, is understanding that with your candidates. Here are 2 bonus tips. I want you to utilize testing to evaluate skills, personality, capacity, and capability. I want you to give them an entrepreneur task and see their capability. Did you know a 2024 Harvard Business Review study found that evaluating talent trajectory increases long-term employee performance by 28% in small businesses? It reduces turnover by 15%. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. That was spoken by Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd U.S. president. I thank you for joining this quick tip episode. Don't forget, together we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you loved this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.